I am so honored to be welcoming our guest speaker, who I think really embodies what it means to be inspirational. So just a few words about Lynda Arthur. So Lynda Arthur is the Africa Implementation and Access Lead for Vaccines for Johnson & Johnson's Global Public Health Organization. She's actually based in Accra, Ghana. And in her role, she really supports the development and the implementation of the global public health vaccine access and value beyond product strategies in Sub-Saharan Africa. She provides strategic recommendations on public health policies, gathering insights and intelligence on vaccines and vaccination. And she, in terms of education, so she holds a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree from King's College, University of London, and she also has a master's in public health from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, as well as an MBA from Lancaster University. And she started her career working as a pharmacist, both in hospital and retail pharmacy in the UK before relocating to Ghana, where she began the work in the public health, which really spans an 18-year period. And she's really an entrepreneur herself, having established 2 retail pharmacy businesses in Ghana, which she ran for 10 years. And before she joined J&J, she was the program director for the Ghana Access and Affordability Research Program, which was funded by the Gates Foundation and the three pharmaceutical companies. She has a ton of experience in advocacy. She in partnership building, in public health, in program development. And one thing that I really like about her CV is that she's really passionate about the development of Africa and mentoring young people to be change makers. So without any further ado, I want to give the floor to you, Lynda, to provide us with some inspirational remarks. Thank you, Lynda.
Thank you so much, Marie-Ange. Honestly, it's such a privilege to be here. I'm so excited. Why am I excited? I'm sure you're asking. I think Marie said it all. You know, I believe so much in the development of Africa. I'm passionate. I think that we have the resources, and then we have the youth dividend right now. There's so many young people who have so much energy that needs to be focused and need to take us to the next level. I mean, it's just incredible. So it's a real honor to be part of this ELISA Confab event. And when the organizers, Shama, Elizabeth, and co reached out to me, I was like, why did you choose me? You know, and, you know, but still was really excited because I think Marie said a lot about me, okay? And I'm going to focus a little bit about, you know, my professional journey and talk a little bit about my thoughts about entrepreneurism. So I'm not the biggest entrepreneur, but I think it runs in my blood. And I like to encourage people to do that right now, especially in this digital age. Not to be scared, not to be scared, but you know, to go out there with the right skills to be able to, you know, bring change. So the change comes in the private sector, right? If the private sector is empowered, if young people are given the opportunity to go out there and be entrepreneurs, then wealth will come to our countries, and then these young people themselves will be raised to the next level. So where did I start from? I mean, really, I was born in Ghana, lived in Ghana, a child of two teachers. My father was a professor in the university. My mother was a headmistress at a nursery school in the University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, which is the second biggest city in Accra. And so growing up, obviously, I came from an academic background, but where did this entrepreneurship spirits come from. My grandmother, actually, after I felt this energy in me, I connected it to my grandmother who, well, in those days, I don't think she was called an entrepreneur, but she was an entrepreneur because she sold in the market, one of the biggest markets in Kumasi. And what did she sell? She sold dried fish, okay? But this woman was able to raise her standard of living through the selling of this dried fish, and by the end of her life had so much property, I couldn't even connect how she got that with what she was selling. But this is a long time ago. Okay, so to give you a background of myself, so really I'm an African woman. That's how I like to describe myself. I don't describe myself as a Ghanaian because of my role. So maybe take back, I think from the presentation that Marie gave, she told you what I do. I work for Johnson & Johnson Global Public Health. I'm the Africa Implementation and Access Lead for vaccines. It's a privilege to be in that role in this time when we have a pandemic. And I must say it's a very pressured job, but we are bringing about change to the continent of Africa. So that is actually why I took this role. Before this role, I was working in West Africa, specifically on HIV. But I thought that this opportunity to be able to go across the continent and learn about the continent and contribute towards the continent, towards the development of the continent was really a challenge I couldn't let go. So first of all, I'm an African woman. I'm a public health specialist. I'm passionate about Africa. I'm a pharmacist. I'm a mother of 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So obviously I started pharmacy. So pharmacy is related. And then my first job really was as a retail pharmacy manager in the UK. So that was kind of my first official encounter with being an entrepreneur. Even though it was not my own business, I learned a lot from running that business, okay? And then I relocated to Ghana after about 17 years living in the UK, working as a pharmacy manager and also working in hospital. And when I came into Ghana, I guess, that thing that entrepreneurs have, entrepreneurs usually, what's an entrepreneur actually? It's someone who always is scanning the environment, looking for, a business venture, looking for, an opportunity to be able to serve customers, looking for an opportunity to bring about change, to solve a problem, develop a solution, so those are some of the things that entrepreneurs have. They say that entrepreneurs have specific, traits. I don't know that is wholly true, but that's what the research says, that entrepreneurs have all these traits that make them entrepreneurs, and part of it is you really need to be curious. Okay, you need to be curious. You need to have grit. You need to be able to longevity. You need to be resilient. You need to be persistent. You need to be comfortable with failure. All these things are things that they've written in the literature about the behaviors and traits that someone who is going to be an entrepreneur should have. So they talk curiosity. You have to be able to recognize certain patterns. You have to have team building skills. You have to. They mentioned something about structure experimentation. So you experiment ideas before you launch into the entrepreneurship idea that you want, so that you don't fail too quick. They also talk about you being, that I know, decisive and also persistent. So this is described, if you Google it, you find it in the Harvard Business Review article that I looked at before this meeting. And I was thinking, well, I set up 2 businesses, and they were very successful businesses over a number of over 10 years. But in all honesty, I didn't have all of these things before I went in. And then I was asking myself, is that maybe why I kind of gave up too soon after 10 years? But I think that 10 years was a good time. I learned so much in those years. What I did at the time was I came into Ghana. I was a pharmacist. I reviewed the environment, and I felt that, yes, there were pharmacies, but I felt that I could deliver something more than what other pharmacists were doing. So I jumped into it using my experience of being a manager in the UK. Okay. And so I didn't do the whole scientific, approach of, what I would do now, which is I would get a business plan, do a little bit more research, and come in a very structured way. But I must say that I learned a lot in that space. But however, I feel that if I had certain critical skills, which I would advise entrepreneurs to have right now before they go in, I feel that I would have been able to manage a lot of complexity that I faced later on in my life, later on in the journey of my entrepreneurship period. So I really did not, and I want you to learn from my mistakes of what I'm sharing. I did not have much strategic know-how at the time of running a business, but I was able to run it for 10 years and it was really successful. However, when the crunch came, I had other interests, and it was not because it failed. I just had other interests and I moved on to the other interest. However, that spirit of entrepreneurship still lives deep in me. So I went on to take an MBA later on after I had sold my retail pharmacy businesses. And I learned so much from that because my MBA taught me a lot about, marketing, strategic thinking, communication, leadership, and all those things that I thought in hindsight, if I had had them before, or I'd even had trainings before, it would have helped me, because there are a list of there are some critical skills that entrepreneurs should really have, I think, to be successful. And those are communication skills, data-driven decision-making, the basics of accounting. And I must say, I really struggled with that, even though I did employ an accountant. And then resilience, as I said before. And all entrepreneurs at the beginning, you tend to be doing so many things yourself. You don't have it all structured out, especially when you are a young entrepreneur. If you're lucky to be an entrepreneur in maybe like a structured business, or, you have that experience, then you can go in with all those structures set in place, with all the research done, then that makes it work better for you. I think you have a better chance of surviving. But if you just go in, well, I've heard that somebody is doing a business, I also want to do the business, then it can become a bit difficult. Now you see that because of Instagram, at least in my country, lots of young people are doing good business through Instagram. But do they have the right structures in place? Do they have, the business plan? Do they have the accounting? Because it's the accounting bit that actually makes or breaks you, okay? And then do they have the right networks? Again, it's really important in business to have the right networks. And so as young people, as you grow, I say relationship comes before money. Relationship is everything. Because if you have the good relationships, then people will support you, be able to support you. You will get good ideas. You will learn from other people. You will get support when you need it, And usually as an entrepreneur, you go into a business with an idea. But a lot of the times, once you get into the marketplace, there are more ideas that are coming at you. So how do you choose? How do you stick with your dream and not leave it and jump because, I saw that this person is maybe doing this other business and I want to go into that space? Because sometimes you need to stay the course to be able to be successful. And so I always say, to young people that it's really good to get training, and also really good to have an apprenticeship, learn on the job, learn from mentors, get that skill, get those critical skills, know-how, understanding of business. You might be able to want to work with somebody for a period of time to just start understudy them. It really would help, because there's nothing that beats experience in this world. If you are experienced, if you have the experience, the on-hand of experience, then you're more likely to be successful than someone who doesn't have the experience. So with that, I know I've spoken quite a bit. I'd like to leave it right now, and maybe if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you so much, Lynda, for those inspiring words. Honestly, your story about you being inspired by your grandmother, who was an entrepreneur, selling dried fish in the Kumasi market, and actually building wealth from this really resonates with me, because it's the story of many African mothers and grandmothers who have even put their children through school, through university, selling crops or goods in the market. So that really resonates. As people are gathering their thoughts, what do you see as some of the critical topics that you would recommend that we cover in these sessions, especially in these, almost, I guess we're still in the middle, almost post-pandemic setting? What are some of the critical topics that you see as really being important to be talking about now in Africa, again, to help advance the continent? Just wondering if you have some thoughts about that.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And before I come to that, I saw a question in the chat from
yes, Elizabeth.
So Elizabeth, yes. So maybe okay, so let me answer your question before I come to hers, because hers is written. For me, honestly, I really, like I said earlier, I think that a lot of young people have the energy. They have what they want to do something, but they don't know how.
Yeah.
So for me, basic, can you set up some form of a mentorship program, or do you already have some form of a mentorship program, or some form of, an internship program? That's what we have in other parts of the world, where young people know that they have to get internships to get into jobs. It's sometimes a bit difficult here, because we don't have this really structured in all countries, where you go for an internship and you get paid. You see, that's the challenge. But I would say, if we could have some form of a system where you even choose a number of businesses that actually, would offer some internships for people to learn, that will go a long way. Because in that space, if you go into that business, talking about J&J is number one world healthcare company in the world. And when I was joining the organization, I didn't realize how much I would learn about business. And yeah, it's a huge business, yes, but there are so many things that I've learned in there about how to even negotiate. Negotiation skills are critical. How to partner, how to understand the economics and the figures, how to deal with people, the importance of diversity in successful business. We across the whole world, we are in 60 countries. My team, I don't have one person in Ghana. My team is in Kenya, is in Nigeria, is in South Africa. We have to find a way to work to make it happen. So those things you can't learn, by yourself. If you want to be that big time entrepreneur eventually. You understand? And then mindset. You have to teach people about mindset. You have to teach people that you don't make $1 million in a day. That instant gratification, that I want it now. You have to go fall, get up, fall, and move. And then I think one thing that a lot of people, maybe not young people alone, is that, they chase the money first. You get your first amount of money, you want to buy the big car, the big house, the experience, the reputation. Once you have that, money chases you. Okay, so that's some of the things that I want you think about. I mean, so in there is, I think internship is one, and there's just trainings on those different things too. In terms of the question that was asked, I think the question was asked, let me look at the question.
Have you prepared yourself for your business?
So in addition to setting up the Pharmacist, I set up a not-for-profit organization, which in a way is not like a commercial business, but it is also like it did a lot of good, and it was a kind of a social enterprise. In that there, what I did was I did a lot of research in advance. I also aligned innately with what I was passionate about, because you see, if you are not passionate about something, you lose the energy after a while. I mean, right now, I tell you that I have the gene of entrepreneurship. I'm scouting for something to do. Guess what? I was in Nigeria last week, and I was just looking around, and a young girl who I've mentored before, she has a business which is failing, and it's a catering business. And she came up to me, she's like, Lynda, do you want to partner with me? I'm like, okay, we have to get the things right. I'm not going to go in it this time and do it wrong. So I had a conversation where we discussed, just understood each other. I said to her, if we're going to do it, we have to have the legal issues put down properly. We have to have an agreement on how we will work. We have to do things properly. We are going to get someone to do a feasibility for us, a business plan for us, so that we go in there with structures in place. I want to do it differently this time. And from the very beginning, agree if it's going to be a partnership, percentages and all those kind of things, so that it's a business. It's professional. You have to be professional in your business. You have to give a product that people like, that you are willing to improve, that you are willing to take constructive criticism for, to be able to improve. So those are some of the things that, I would say you do in preparation for a business, a small scale business at least. Yes.
Thanks, Lynda. Thanks so much, Lynda. And I want to do a little bit of a time check. So we basically have another 3 minutes before we go into the breakouts. And the breakouts are really so important also, because you see there are people from everywhere here, and it's really an opportunity to network in the breakouts. So there's a question from Aisha. She was asking, what are the challenges that entrepreneurs encounter in Africa based on your own experience, and are they solvable?
I think one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face is capital, raising capital. Our interest rates are here, there, and everywhere. So you want to raise, usually the advice is, as an entrepreneur, when you're starting, don't go for a loan. That's the advice. If you have saved some money, or if it is that, you have some friends or families that you can go to, to keep down those expenses, those interest rates, and, all those things that kind of can cripple your business. That being said, if you have a good business plan, and you have done all the projections, and and you go to a bank and you can defend yourself, or you go to a venture capitalist, and you can defend it, and they give you the funding, why not? The only thing is that you really have to be very, very diligent with your financial, and that's where people fail. As soon as they see the big money, rather than putting it back into the business, rather than paying your taxes, rather than doing what it is that you are supposed to do, you go and buy the flashy car or the flashy house or the whatever, and then you're back to square one. Okay, so that financial diligence get an accountant, get financial guidance, be strategic, be diligent with that, and keep pushing it. Don't expect that after 1 year your business is going to be, you're going to be that millionaire. If you look at all those millionaires, look at Steve Jobs, what happened? You read his story and then read about, successful entrepreneurs, what they went through. I think that's really critical.
Yeah. We have 1 minute. Maybe you can cover this question, the last question that we have here, on how to remain holding on to your dream, especially in times of challenges, like when you're lacking financing or other challenging environments.
I think that's a really difficult one. I don't think you should move away from your dream, but I think it's also important to be realistic in everything that you do in life. Okay, so maybe your dream is to start really huge. Maybe you shouldn't start huge. Maybe you should start smaller and have lessons learned. Finances, again, that's a big one on the continent of Africa, because you're seeing that, there are people doing businesses. Some of the finance doesn't come from the continent, and they are coming up with all these big businesses. What do you do? Again, try and be innovative. Start small. Look for somebody who you can partner with. The thing about partnership is about built on trust, because that's one of the big challenges we have on the continent when it comes to businesses. That's why our businesses stay small, because you don't trust. You're going to take your family member. The family member can just you think your family member is the one to help you, and then that's the one who's going to rip you off.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sapiwa. I'm a human resources manager for Corporate Advisors Canada. So you highlighted about the role of technology in entrepreneurship, and you gave an example of young people using Instagram and all this social media. Are they really taking advantage of the technology that is out there to make their small to medium-sized businesses grow? And if so, are they also aware of free resources that you can get on the internet? For example, you can actually get free courses to learn about marketing your products, or through Google. There's got a digital marketing skill that they can be able to learn. And what is the role of mentors who are mentoring young entrepreneurship to take advantage of this platform? The internet has opened up opportunities. You don't need to be in Africa. Anywhere in the world, you can leverage this technology.
Exactly. And I don't think you're asking a question. I think you are sharing some very good points. The taking advantage of the technology is definitely, we are in a new world, we're in a new age. And for example, in Ghana now, the good thing about those kind of, we have something we call Momo, which is like M-Pesa. So really the money comes straight to you. But if you are not financially savvy and you are not being financially intelligent, and you would give that Momo to somebody, because a friend of mine just lost so much money because she trusted somebody to take care of that Momo account, okay, where the money is transferred. So money doesn't go into the hands of people. So technology, I think you're right, take advantage of it. And second, about, reading on the internet and free training, there's a lot out there. So thank you for that inclusion. Thank you.